In Exodus 4, there is a really interesting exchange between Moses and the Lord. Exodus 4, 10 through 12 says this: Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant. Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken with your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, and I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." So, what's going on here in this exchange? Well, God has called Moses to lead his people, and Moses doesn't feel up to the task. Moses is not sure he's the right man for the job. He's feeling inadequate. He's thinking, who am I to do this? I don't have the skill. Maybe thinking, I don't have the faith. So he makes an excuse to try to get out of it. He says, I am slow of speech and tongue. He's saying, God, I'm not a good speaker. I'm not eloquent. I'm not a leader. You have got the wrong guy. And I wonder if you've ever felt that way when you've thought about serving in ministry or been called to serve in a particular mission or ministry. Have you ever felt inadequate? Well, what is God's response to Moses here? God basically says, Moses, it's not about you. God says, I'm going to empower you to do what I have called you to do here. And that really is a key truth that we find in Scripture, that God will empower us to do whatever it is that God has called us to do. But it's not just when we're called or we consider taking a position in mission or ministry that we can feel inadequate. Sometimes even once we're serving, we still feel inadequate. Some people call this imposter syndrome, where we kind of think we feel like a fraud, that maybe we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. But I want you to know that feeling inadequate is actually normal, because what it is it's realizing a very deep truth about ourselves. And that truth is that God designed us to be dependent, and that we function best in this life when we are operating in dependence on Him. And that's really the way that we ought to go about things, leaning on and trusting in Him. When it comes to serving in mission and ministry, this is especially true because these are holy tasks. And so we can feel even more inadequate, and we need even more then to rely on God to empower us. One example is that when people are nominated in the church to be elders, I never worry about the ones who say, I'm not sure I'm the right person. The ones that feel inadequate, who say, well, who am I to be an elder and lead the church? The ones I worry about are the ones who think, well, I'm ready. I'm God's gift to eldering. I'm gonna lead this. I'm gonna lead the heck out of this church. It's those who are not aware of their inadequacies, who don't have that feeling driving them towards dependence on God. Those are the ones that I tend to worry about. So feeling inadequate is not a bad thing. It's actually realizing a deep truth about ourselves, that we are meant to operate in dependence on God. But again, the good news is that God will empower us to do whatever God calls us to do.